Welcome to RawSportsCast. My name is Scott Harrigan. Today we have a special guest, Ray Barkwill from Rugby Canada. Ray, how you doing today?
Excellent. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for doing our little show here, man.
Oh, super excited to be here.
Awesome. Probably the highlight of your career, no? Of all the interviews you did?
It sits just below my high school football championship.
Yeah.
But just above the World Cup.
Right,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll do the Al Bundy thing, eh? Poke high?
Oh, Polk High, 4 touchdowns one day.
That's it, exactly. Let's go back to Niagara Falls, where it kind of all began. Let's go to that high school. Was it called?
Well, I mean,
West?
the local people would call it West Lane, but my crew would call it Westlake Raiders.
Westlake Raiders.
But the high school was West Lane Spartans, and the only reason we got that name was from a famous bus driver that the boys had when we were playing rugby. And the name is stuck within until 25 years later. We're still talking about it.
Is it?
Oh yeah, Robbie with the finger out on the thumb check, 4 different glasses when driving in the bus, and it was probably one of the highlights of my sporting career.
Glasses
it
of
was just absolute.
glasses or spectacle glasses?
No, like a sunglasses.
Oh, okay.
Where he had different shades for different peak hours of the day when the sun came
he's
out.
pro.
Oh, dude, like next level of bus driver. The only one who could challenge him was the guy after we won at Brock University, who basically let us kind of, I think, treat the bus like off a slap shot, and where we're making it look mean after we won the OUA championship. So, like, 2 great bus drivers, stories in our lives. Like, these are the people that you love.
No kidding,
in your sporting career.
Bus drivers, it's odd that you would mention that, because bus drivers and trainers don't get enough.
No.
You know what I mean?
Man, they make or break things sometimes.
That's the character right there, right? Yeah. So, bus drivers, I should do a podcast on bus drivers. Do you think Buddy's still alive? Is he still around?
You know what? He wouldn't be, I was like 18, so he would have probably been like, made 35, 40 in that range, so he would only be 60 years
perfect
close to retirement. I mean, we maybe send a flag out to Ottawa region.
Absolutely, do that. Let's do that.
See if we can get Robbie on the
Robbie 4 glasses.
Oh yes,
I like it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Robbie 4 glasses. So you started your high school. You started rugby in Niagara Falls. It's not a mecca for rugby, is it?
No, I think you'd be surprised.
I would.
Back when I was playing, I think it is a football town. It is a massive basketball town.
Yeah.
Being a border
town.
Hockey enormous. Huge. Where you look at some of the people I passed through in my time there. Plenty of people who've represented themselves in the NHL and the NBA. You got Jay Triano.
That's right.
My cousin. Russell. He went in the NBA. Number of players playing high-level basketball, and football players too, who thought about playing in the CIS. And then there's this one lonely rugby guy who kind of scraped his way through.
But you get all the surrounding areas too, right? So you get the St. Catharines and that whole bit, and there's no shortage of athletes out there. Like I'm from Galt, Cambridge. And there's just a ton of multi-sport athletes in that Southern Ontario region.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the NBA, and I think the NHL. If you look, like the big one be Paul Biznasty and his group in that age group in Welland, Ontario, which is 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I think at one point within their age group, 9 kids playing in the NHL pretty regularly, and you see those groups of people coming through. I think there's a young boy who's playing at the Whitecaps now, who's from Niagara. Like, it's just I mean, that's just in the sports part of the region, not in the arts and everything.
Doesn't say a lot about being with the Whitecaps though this year. I mean, when you're Pacific FC's where it's at, right? That's where. That's why I'm telling you, man.
You never know.
I was at that game, and I played soccer. I was actually a really good soccer player, believe it or not, and I hadn't been to a soccer game like that at that level in years, and I didn't know what to expect. And right from the first whistle, I'm like, oh shit, this PFC, they're good.
They're real.
They're absolutely, they're the real deal.
I know. I was lucky to work with a few of the stalwarts on that team and within our community here, and being excited for them, but watching, another team be successful on the West Coast, particularly the island.
Yeah.
And be, if I'm not, they're still in first place.
Yeah,
top
yeah,
of the league,
yeah.
which is exciting after, especially coming out of our COVID nightmare where we put a pause on their league for a bit. But,
they did.
It's creating a buzz in the town. You can tell.
And I think they lost a coin flip, and they're playing Toronto FC actually.
Yeah, I think it's
right. So I think that feather in the cap, if they even do relatively, that tie would be something against, because
it's gonna be a tough task, but I think if you look at how well this season's went, there's no reason why they can't.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Toronto FC hasn't had the best season either. So
they're falling off. So anything could happen.
Yeah, hopefully.
I hate ties, don't you?
Kissing your sister. That's what it is.
Kissing your sister. That's the tie. Yeah. What is a Tooq bomb? What is a Tooq bomb? What?
So the Tooq bomb is a funny term that we use in high school for someone who.
Are you choosing your words carefully here?
Yeah, you're gonna choose my words.
It's a podcast.
I'm gonna use who is uncircumcised.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
a Tooq bomb.
We only had one boy in our class who was uncircumcised. We always laughed at him, and we called him. We thought instead of calling it a hat, we in Canada obviously it's a toque. So he had a toque on his little wiener there. So
love it.
He just ended up being a toque. So if he.
So was that his nickname throughout?
His nickname is Tooq.
It has to be.
He will listen to this, which is amazing. So, to be honest,
shout out to Tooq Bomb.
One of the best athletes I grew up with playing, and he went and had.
Do you think that makes a difference with uncircumcised as being an athlete?
I think it does. I think it gives you there's a couple
aerodynamics.
I would say a couple ounces more when you're carrying the ball.
Right.
Just that little bit weight more.
Right.
It's probably why I wasn't such a great ball carrier.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I wonder if you can get one of them Tooq bomb adapters or something that
he's gonna love this, because I didn't say it'd ever make him famous, but this might make him famous.
This might go. Yeah. Who would have thought? Who'd have thought? Yeah. So let's continue on that. Let's get off Tooq bomb for a while. He's had his 15 minutes.
Yeah, he's good.
Let's go on to your transition. It seems that a lot of the talented, like I just did an interview with Kenny Goodland, and he did really well in Newfoundland and had a lot of success out there. But his game really took off when he got to the island and stuff like that. So I want to talk about club rugby specific, and what intrigues me as a punter on the sidelines, I did play the game, certainly not at your level, but the club rugby just seems to do it right. There just doesn't seem to be an ego. Like James Bay's been around for 100 and whatever. Castaway Wanderers been around for whatever, and they just seem to every year churn it out, do the right things, promoting players, developing players. What can you say about club rugby that is different from high school and that's different from playing for Rugby Canada?
Obviously the sport is what connects all of us, but I think what you see, and it isn't any different from around the country. Everything has a little twist to it, but it really comes down to the sport and the community within the sport. What you learn about rugby, what it teaches, the values in it. But at the club level, it's just that collective group of people who are volunteering and want to grow the sport, be a part of it, and their local community or where maybe your high school goes after towards continuously playing or being a part. And if you look at it in Vancouver Island and those two clubs, CW and James Bay, obviously very long tenures of rugby culture within the lower island but very influential across British Columbia. And what they have is just a group of amazing volunteers, because that's what they are.
And that exactly, and that's it. For the love of the game, and that love you never read about a embezzlement, or you never read about, but you do in soccer. You're doing this, you're doing hot. You know what I mean? There's always fucking somebody ripping somebody off somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, not that I don't think, rugby's never not had a clean nose, but again, like there's not a trend. There's not an ongoing thing.
It would be rare.
We have a number of clubs on the island that are amazing. So, whether it starts down in the James Bay CW, up here at West Shore, just across the street, working your way up to Cowichan, which is probably one of the most loved clubs on the island.
Those piggies.
Yeah, exactly.
When have they lost a game? The women's piggies.
They're very good. To be honest, obviously my wife plays with Cowichan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she plays there, and I can confirm they've lost a game before, but they do win a lot of games. And they are a very, very successful team. But you could go from there all the way up to Port Alberni, Nanaimo. Like Nanaimo's teams are amazing too, and there's tons of talent, tons of great volunteers, and people who make the clubs run. And I think you see that a little bit. If you see the Rugby Canada Awards, they find an actual person within the community rugby that they recognize.
100%.
And I think that's important to see that, that is grassroots. Grassroots doesn't necessarily have to be under 9. It can be under 16, under 18. It can be just your community rugby. That's grassroots to me because we're developing players, whether they're 20 years old or 5 years old. And that's the cool part about these volunteers and the people in the club. And
so I'm glad you brought up grassroots because one of the things that irked me, and not many things about rugby irked me, but this did. During COVID, we talked about briefly, and I thought they missed the boat on growing the game, giving it exposure during the pandemic because, and I'll tell you why. It was probably one of the only sports that when they're talking about the 6 feet apart and I thought that was a perfect opportunity for rugby, grassroots rugby, to give them massive exposure. You could have done it right across the street. It could have been just tossed the ball. There's literally no equipment, just the ball. And then because when I look at everything and I talk to rugby people, they don't start teaching hitting, and you have to. They teach you, and they're very consistent year after year after year. It's been the same way for years and years and years, and each country does it. It seems where it's passing, running, the skills of the game, that whole part of it. I thought during the pandemic that would have been a perfect shot to go out there and start learning the skills of rugby.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, to be honest, our sport maybe being outdoors and the potential of being 6 feet away, particularly in like a flag or touch league, I think that's fair criticism. I think there's opportunity in other sports that missed it too.
Lacrosse, maybe.
Yeah, lacrosse, maybe. Where, I don't know how baseball ever was an issue. To not play maybe or be slowed down. There is tougher. Football might be a little tougher.
Yeah, for sure.
Hockey might be a little tougher. But I think there was...
Well, baseball, you can't do the 6 feet when you're on first base, right?
I mean, and that's where, you're going to see, what does the outdoor exposure, all those, big talking points that you're seeing from directed, doctors and safety guidelines that we're putting in place. So, yeah, I think, that's fair criticism.
Well, it's just only because it's so, that is the game. Yeah, passing and running. I mean, exactly. If you can't pass and run, you're not going to be good at rugby. And that is the fundamental of the game, really, in its simplest forms.
Well, we got to make sure we keep props. Props will watch this, and they should not pass. And they don't run that much. So,
what position do you play?
Oh, yeah, I'm hooker. But, so we got to be careful about my left and right. So
what was Tooq? What did Tooq play?
He was a tight head.
There you go.
And so it is those things. But I think that's fair criticism for sure. And I think I don't want to go through this ever again.
No, I get
pandemic,
it.
But if it does, I think we might get it a little better next time.
I think so.
100 years since the last one, and all the learnings from there. We
Yeah.
obviously still couldn't learn from them because the time
But
elapsed.
that's kind of my point leading into it is that like I don't get paid to market rugby. I don't get paid to come up with ideas. It's like isn't there somebody at that level in Langford going, hey, this is a good like how do you miss that? I just don't know. But I'm not here to throw them under the
No,
bus.
and I was critical about being. I wasn't critical. I think it was just strategies of looking even at rugby from a club point of view in British Columbia. It was like, okay, we love passing and running, and I agree. Like that is the foundation of how to grow rugby. So why do we play in the worst weather of the year?
Yeah.
So why do we play in the worst weather of the year here, where the rest of Canada plays in the beautiful part of the season?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that was something I voiced it, and it was great. The president of BC Rugby reached out, to the directors and the clubs and said, what ideas? What are your thoughts? And just asking for an opinion. And not that they're going to run with yours, but I thought that part was exciting. And so I expressed that. I said, look, I think the fall should be one of those exhibition kind of leagues where, maybe we're just focused on fun enjoyment. I would like to see the pause in November and come back at the end of February and run February to the end of May for our men's and women's leagues and our juniors leagues. Why? Because playing in cold and wet sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Right.
It doesn't develop skills, and it doesn't get people in love with the game.
No, and spectators and everything else.
And everything else. So there's other, constraints, field, times and availabilities and all that. But I really think we could have done it maybe better from a province point of view.
Yeah.
And just shifting the timing of when our leagues start so that we can play in better weather. Which obviously, we're getting field cancellations. Now we're getting more snow here with climate change. And so, I think it would have just kind of aligned things a little better. It might have worked well with playing while the MLR and all these leagues and leading up to test matches in the summer.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think they're trying, but I think we need to keep looking for a better solution than playing some rugby in, end of November and December and January and February when it's like, I don't want to train in that. It's awful. And I'm I don't get necessarily really better at it either.
No.
Kind of just hover around, just keeping up sharp.
So that's fair. So keeping in tune with what we're the club rugby, like I was saying, they just seem to year after year after year, just keep doing the same, plugging along, and everything is great.
Status quo.
Where is the status of rugby past club rugby? What do you think? Do you think that they're pushing the right buttons? Do you think they're doing the right things? Like when it gets to that level, because my opinion is when I look at club rugby, I don't see ego. I see volunteers like you see. You played. You got firsthand as a punter on the sideline. I just go to a game and you just don't see that. I don't know what the term I'm looking for is, but they're just out to play.
Yeah, and I mean, cliche it is, you're doing it for the love of the game.
The love of the game.
Yeah, I think...
Is it the love of the game at Rugby Canada, or is it Dosh?
No, I think that... So to kind of give you a little understanding of how I look at it, I love rugby, every form.
It's a great game.
I love it at every age level. If you ask me what my favorite time within playing rugby was, what do you think I would say?
High school.
Absolutely. Right? The most innocent, raw,
Yeah.
most enjoyable part of my life. Playing just strictly for the love of the game. I would say second to that, to be honest, was playing for Ontario. Maybe because of the success, but I was playing with a group of friends who were collectively trying to improve themselves. We had a great culture within our team, and it was amazing. But my club experiences, whether it was at CW or in Western Australia or in Oakville or in Niagara Falls where I grew up playing rugby, they're all memorable. They play a vital part of my nostalgia of where rugby in my mind is. Rugby in Canada and playing at that elite level was my ultimate challenge. And it was a business where I took it incredibly serious. Yeah. Where at times, my paychecks from professional teams or my international duty and my growth as a player to push myself to a level that I've never pushed myself before. Is that fun? There's moments. Is there troubles? Yes, there's moments. Is there frustration?
Yeah.
I mean,
it is a business.
It is a business. And when you and I asked a young player about looking at the MLR. I keep his name out.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
He gave me the most honest answer, and I said, "Look, I've spoke to a club, and they were keen to see if you were wanting to play professional rugby." He's like, "I don't want to play it because I know the minute that it becomes a job, I will not love it." And I said it was the most honest answer, and I respected it. I said, "Fair play, man. Like,
that is fair play.
Fill your boots. Go on to do what you want to do. And if you want to keep playing rugby for fun, because that's what your end goal is great." And we look at that and to grassroots sports and parents throwing kids into some of these academies and into these next level stuff. And it's like, whose dream you live in?
I'm glad you kind of brought that up. I was going to transition to that after, but now that it's out there, it is one of the things that irks me the most. And we've talked about it before. I've talked about it before. What are we getting here? Are we getting the best athlete? Like when we're sending kids to these camp schools, this, that, whatever, the kids that can't afford it, are they less than players? I don't ever remember a camp or a school. I mean, we had power skating and figure skating.
Yep.
And that's it. Howie Meeker hockey school, stuff like that. But it wasn't these like you're on
ice dry training, lifting sessions.
Man,
right?
kidding me?
Skill development, individual personal coaches, especially I would say
at $40,000 a pop, please.
Especially where you're getting it past underage 16, right? And I mean, funny enough, I took the opportunity to learn about a lot of these things, finishing my coaching master's program. And so, I have my beliefs. I looked at some of the research done on it, on burnout, on cost, on injuries, social divide, the social inequalities. We look at things. We're here on Truth and Reconciliation Day. We're talking about all kinds of like contentious issues about socioeconomics, about visible minorities getting the same opportunity. So like it's so big, and I think within the problem and the way we look at things in academies and finances is a massive one.
Yeah,
so
100%.
You get it, and I look at it like this, and I'll put it in a rugby context because I'm a rugby.
Yep.
So I under 18 coach, one of the coaches for Canada, work with many athletes and time. And so when I look at a national team selected under 18 or under 20, I look at the country and I look at like population and representative amounts within clubs. So if you look at Ontario being the biggest population, British Columbia being third, Quebec men's being second, but Quebec and men's isn't as prosperous as it should be. Frustrating, come back to it, and every other province and territory within our country. So when I look at a distribution of 30 players, we should see 14 to 15 coming from Ontario. We should see 10, probably to 12 coming from British Columbia. And then we can sprinkle in Quebec 2, Prairies,
Alberta
5, 6, 7, Newfoundland 2, Nova Scotia 1. So like looking at distribution, and then when I look at, and someone asked me this question in interviewed at U Vic for the head coaching job, how do you go about recruiting? And I go, look, well, I don't go downtown Toronto, right? Like I don't go down where kids are paying the money and can pay the money to go to play for Ontario. I have to look there.
Sure.
Because there is good players and good athletes. But if I'm going to go to areas where finances are eliminated from a cause, I'm going to the farm towns. I'm going to the small places.
Why wouldn't you?
Right? Because I want good athletes, hard kids who are competitive.
Good upbringing, good everything.
And so I look at it in such a broad, big context of how academies run and do it. And I think finances is frustrating. You have things like Jump Start that can help certain players.
Kids sport.
Exactly.
So are we getting the best players or are we getting the richest parents?
And that I think is a fair thing to say, is that I would say you're getting a lot of very wealthy parents. And it doesn't mean their kid isn't going to be good.
No.
But there's going to be some people who that barrier is in the way, and it's a financial. It was one when I was a kid. Right,
I don't remember it for some reason.
For me, I had a single family income.
Yeah, me too.
And to the point where my little summer job, my little job was to help pay for my registration.
But we cut grass, we collected whatever. I mean, I'm not saying like it sound like one of those. Well, back in my day, no. But it was it was the whole team. We had to do it. It wasn't you're raising money just for you.
Yeah.
The money was for the team, and we all had to do it. And my parents couldn't afford to buy 100 chocolate bars, so I had to fucking sell 100 chocolate bars.
Exactly. And I think you look at that, like, you know, hockey being probably the biggest cost right now.
Yeah,
and
for sure it is.
And I talk to, when I do speak to sponsors who want to sponsor a team, and I look and I go, why not sponsor an athlete?
Yeah.
Right. You know, like reducing the cost for everyone is a part of the process to help make things work.
Yeah.
But I look at some athletes who really don't get the opportunity because of the financial constraints that lead in front of them. And there is amazing people who do see those people in the rugby community who do open their wallets or speak to the people who know that can help an individual that might need it. But that's just one. We're just talking about the finances right now. I look at the parents who force their kids into, we need you to go into this part. And that's the love of the game part. And
who are they playing for? The jersey, the name in the jersey, front or the back? You know what I mean?
And that's that cliche saying is so.
It is so true.
True.
And you know the other one that's true? If you're good enough, they will find you. I still think that holds true.
I think that has a various validation to it. You know, I mean, if you want to go and work hard and you're playing in your rec league, some rep coach will find you.
I'll put it to you this way:
they will get that help where you might need on a financial help because they can see a benefit out of you.
I'll put it to you this way:
ethical part of that.
There are baseball pitchers in some third world countries that don't have internet, probably not even bricks on their house. I don't know, whatever. And yet the major league finds them, and they're pitching in the major leagues every year, and it's not
business.
Sure, right? But they don't have the internet. They don't have YouTube. They're not putting videos out promoting themselves. They're certainly not going to academies. Yet they're throwing 96, 100 miles an hour. Somebody found them.
It's funny because we're bringing up some really good points here, and I love talking about talent ID because I think it's a farce. I think it's total bullshit at times. If you can see cream on the top, you can take those players, right? Cream is easy. Seeing players who haven't got there yet.
Yep.
And seeing what they might need and potential. And that might not be their athleticism. That might actually be how strong and mentally, we talk about mental toughness.
Sure.
It's not even mental fortitude. You know, people who are gamers, people who have competitive
100%
within them, but might not be the fastest yet, be the strongest yet, or the most skilled yet.
How many coaches have you ever heard say, I would take 15 plumbers? I would take 15 plumbers.
I laugh because I say it with rugby. I go, I'd take eight tough farmer kids, a couple convicts in there, and then I'd take the other 7 university-bound, smart, athletic people.
Yeah.
And a balance of people who are intellectually making good decisions on the field. I need some toughness. I need people who want to graft, work, and tackle and hit people hard and ruck and clean and do the job.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone wants to see is that your kid's not always going to be the goal scorer. But doesn't mean he can't be an NHLer.
And not just
to be just picking up the invisibles versus the visible things.
But sending him to an academy is not going to make him a goal scorer either.
Academies are good for a small portion of people.
Yes.
And typically it's the Connor McDavids.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the people who are so special.
The elite of the elite.
The elite of the elite. It's the 0.01% of the 1%. Right? And
Agreed.
so it is so small and far. And so when you look at academies and what they bring, are you out there just to have enjoyment? Because that's the first question. If your kid's like, I want to go to this academy because I'm driven and I want to play soccer or basketball or baseball more, then I would be like, yeah, send your kid, fire your kid in there. Because that kid was kind of like me. That kid sat there where I sat with that conversation at midnight and asked my parents and was like, what do you want to do in life? And I was like, I want to play sports. I want to play rugby. I want to play baseball. It was baseball at the time.
Yep.
I want to be an elite player. And I mean, I think my parents just didn't understand that. They're not athletic.
No.
They're not athletes. And so they're not at that understanding from a mental part of it. And so when you look at it, if your kid comes up to you and says, I want to be a part of that, whether it's jazz, sports,
who cares?
Fire your kid into that
100%.
And open and remove the barrier at the door and let them go and prosper and try it. And if they come out and they say, look, I'm not having fun, ask them what they want to do. It's not it's not about me living the dream. It's about the kid living what they want to do.
How many kids, pick a sport, I don't care. How many kids are playing sports right now that don't want to play that sport?
To be honest, I think you'd see 20%.
I think it.
And I think conservative.
Think that is conservative. I do believe it is conservative. And no, so I have a something simple. I only speak about this because I hated hockey after a certain level. I just hated it. Mm-hmm. You know, I love the game. Everybody that knows me knows that I love hockey. Played at rec, but honestly, didn't want to go any further in the game because of the business and just the old boys club. I knew it back then what it was like, you know. And I don't care what sport it is. If there's an old boys club, it's going to cause issues somewhere down the line or whatever. But my theory on this is simply a formula. Is every sport in Canada, where whatever level, there's just a form, and it's quite simple. Do you want to play next year? Yes or no? Just yes or no. If it's no, the parent does it. The parent gets it through the coach or the manager or whoever. Somebody's running that, the convener. Sally, Billy said no, they don't want to play.
Well, I think that's where you have to take
but they don't do it.
Well, are you asking this parent in the son or the daughter staying there in front of the coach, filling the form out, asking the question? Is it a private?
Yeah, 100% private.
Because like that influence of
yes,
and also even if the parent isn't there, the kids are very self-aware of. Is my parent going to be mad or upset that I don't want to play this sport anymore? Because I know my parents love coming to watch this, being at the rink, being on the field. And then also, they also might be a part of the administration or the coaching staff.
They could. Dad could be the coach.
And the kids weigh these things on there. And I think you're asking serious questions that kids will their answer will be influenced because they see what maybe the sport in the outside aspect from a parent is involved with, and they don't want to ruin their parents' fun and enjoyment they have.
Yes, 100%. Now we've come so far in so many ways, and we've either stalled or gone backwards in others. And with sexuality and I don't even run stories anymore when they say that Billy or Sally is the first lesbian or gay guy to play and whatever. I don't even run them stories because we're so far beyond that, I think, right? And it's just, but here's the thing. If you take a kid and you say, Mom, Dad, I got something to tell you. And they're like, oh, you can tell us anything. You could, what, honey? Like we're here for you.
Yeah.
What? Never be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to come and talk to us. I'm gay. Oh, well, God. That's okay. We love you.
Yeah.
Same kid. Mom, Dad, I don't want to play hockey. What?
Yeah.
What? Where's this coming from? What? So let that sink in. I mean, it's just, we've come so far, but I just think that there are people or kids or even, teenagers that are stuck in something they might not want to be in.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it can be in any aspect of life, jobs.
It could be, yeah.
It could be, people do that with friend groups sometimes. And I think you definitely, brought up a good point is like the influence on what parents have on their kids, and the first thing
the pressure.
The first thing you said there is the one and I'm not a parent yet, but speaking as a coach and a teacher is
same thing.
Talk to your kid. Yeah. Just have conversations, not when the conversation is needed. Have conversations all the time. Ask them how their day goes. Ask them what their week's like. Ask them what they're wanting to do. Ask them to set out dreams and guide them towards what they want and help remove and bridge things. And I look at that from how I try to get kids involved in sport at the high school level or the club level in the local area. And all I do is promote enjoyment. I said, like, if you
sports is fun,
and that's it. When it's not fun, which at times playing for Canada was not fun.
No.
Right?
No.
It's not fun because my job was to win. When you're not winning, it's not fun.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to not worry, again, the scoreboard, and we talk about, not counting goals and all that. I still think that's a major part of it. But just enjoyment and having fun. And find the silver linings on when someone does something well on a field. It could be the fact that they picked up their teammate when the teammate made a mistake.
Yep.
To the point where when they made the game-winning goal or try or whatever, that they're praised. But praise everything that is rewardable, not just the outcome-based, the whole process of within and how it was made. The amount of times the elite coaches don't talk about the score, but talk about the seventh phase before and what led to the opportunity. It lets the player who's doing the little things that are, again, back to that invisible, unvisible part. What is visible? People in the pundits and the fans see the try. No one sees the little things. And I think if you're a coach and you look at the little things within your team and your athletes and your little tykes at Timbits, and you give them all that little bit of, pat on the back, great job. Look at that pass. Hey, nice hustle back.
Yeah.
That will include into the kids' love of the game and how they think.
Instead of giving a ribbon for coming in last.
Exactly. I
Yes.
said
I don't agree with that at all, by the
praising
way.
in front of their teammates. That's how you're going to get love.
Yes.
They're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You don't have to highlight mistakes. If you focus on the little wins and the little battles that they do well in within a team, I laugh because I think of my own coaching experience and how I go about making kids love a game they have maybe have heard of, maybe have tried it once. And I joke to my friends. I go, look, I'm trying to be the David Koresh of coaching, man. I'm trying to get people to come and love this sport, but finding how I can get them to love it.
Minus the compound, of course, right?
The compound.
Yeah, we can't put the compound.
No. But trying to make people a believer in me as a coach and saying look, I can get you to love this sport by finding what you do within it, and I'll find something that you're successful in it.
Yeah.
And what you want to get out of the sport is for you to make that decision. And for me is the way I look at from a coaching point of view on how to measure success. And for me to measure success, I look at it in rugby and I go, does the kid have fun? Does the kid continue to play the sport at any level? Doesn't matter. Does the kid get to an elite level?
Is he putting his uniform on an hour before the game? Is the
kid watching the sport? Is the kid going to go when he's 50 still donate? Is he going to be a fundraising community? Is he going to be a coach? Is he going to be an athletic therapist because that's their job now and he's giving back to his community?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I look at it.
Well, the thing,
and that's how I think you get love and for the sport.
The thing is that it's up to others to tell you how good you are or how bad you are. It's not up to you don't go telling people, oh, I'm this and I'm like, I never really I remember as a childhood, the people that did that were probably the easiest to play against. But I'll tell you this, as a guy that grew up in Southern Ontario with, I was born in 66 and I was playing sports by early 70s for sure. And we moved a ton. And it's heartbreaking as a kid who moves when you're playing sports with your neighborhood within your street and you move across town to it. These people, that might as well have been on the moon. But it was sports. I met new friends.
Yeah.
I was on a new team, one new school. When you have 8, 9 different schools before you're, 15, 16, it's like, it can be good or bad, but the common denominator was sports. Yeah. So I learned a ton off of moving to this town, and you had to play every sport or you got beat up or, you know what I mean? Like bullied and this and that. It got me out of a lot. Sports probably saved my life in many different areas, right? But when I look at athletes who, mental health is huge. And I'm kind of skipping ahead, I know, but it's at the forefront. But I'm wondering how much anxiety and depression that kids have doing something that they either don't want to do, don't love it, or their buddies have moved away, or you know what I mean? Like is Can sports create anxiety, depression, mental health at a young age?
100%. 100%.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Expectations.
From coaches, parents?
Coaches, parents, their friends, media, social media.
Social media for sure.
Everyone.
Okay.
It depends on who you surround yourself around.
Well, that's it.
Right? And so, like, if for people who are successful, some people, and it's their experiences within it, right? I mean, mental health is a serious, ongoing. It has always been there. We just identified it better.
Concussions have always been there too.
Concussions always been there, but we didn't have the information.
It just got your bell rung.
And I mean, to not get into the physiology and parts of that, but like, can it cause kids issues? 100%. 100%. When if you're and that's the burnout. We talk about academies, the expectation to have to do good.
Do you think kids know how much their parents are paying? Do you think they're told?
So
I've just spent a ton on you. Do you think that happens?
No, I think so, and this is kind of why I give them the answer, is the fact that I teach grade 9, and I go, do you know what urbanization is? Yeah, they look out the window and they see it every day here, right? They see houses being chucked up. And then I go, what's the average house cost here? And they know. So if they're so self-aware of housing costs, I'm pretty sure something they connect with about their sport, they know how much their sport costs.
So do you think they value their worth on if it's 44 grand to go to here, to go to there, do you think they feel that they're 20 grand? I don't know. I mean, that could be a really dumb question or it could be a brilliant question. I don't know. But do you think they put their worth on the dollar value?
No, because they're kids.
Okay. So
they know it costs a lot. I don't know. That's a great question. I like to think they obviously know what the value of money is. They obviously know that potentially their parents are paying a lot of it. Are they all self-aware of maybe how much? Or I think maybe a small percentage might be.
Okay.
But
that's too many.
I think one's too many.
Exactly. Do you think mental health is harder to recognize in children than adults?
Yeah.
Reasons?
I think kids when you're young, to understand physical changes, changing emotionally, mentally. To understand that, because your learnings aren't there yet. You're still developing understanding and learning. Well, in your early years, the first thing, you learn that putting your hand over an element is hot. The first time someone...
Yeah, you do it once.
You do it once, right?
Yeah.
So, it takes those experiences to understand that. And so I think with adults end up being more fearful of having to show those things. And
are we too protective?
We're breaking down these barriers, weekly, daily, yearly on acceptance of understanding that mental health and mental injuries, whether it's anxiety or overstressed, and what level of mental health issue a person might be going through, needs to be treated the same as an ankle injury.
So do you think we're too protective and not letting them find out on their own, not to put their hand on the stove? Is it we're too coddling? Is it like...
I think we're always going to be in a reactive state, right? Because anxiety is normal. Stress is normal.
Sure.
And it's when we get to the level where it's detrimental to you and your safety and your well-being, or your job or your personal life. So it always ends up coming to the point where we start tipping over the edge. And so identifying it early, where how to manage emotions, how to manage stress, how to manage anxiety will help a young person grow and learn how to manage that. It's not like anxiety showed up last week.
No.
It's been around.
No, exactly.
But the fact is that with more pressure, more time, and more awareness, is that we've just brought it to the forefront and not just cast people to the side and said they're crazy.
So that changes the way. So you're a player, a coach, and a teacher. The perfect trifecta to realize and understand if a child is suffering from. Are we doing enough as a school board as a governing body, as a country, to teach teachers how to recognize it, because it must change the way you teach. Not only now are you just a teacher, but a counselor, police officers are the same way. Yeah. You had a grade 10 before, and you just go out and police the community. Well, that's not what's happening fucking today. That's like you're dealing with mental health. I mean, it's a dog's breakfast on Pandora, and you know. But as a teacher, as a coach, you didn't really have to worry about that 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and I could say that my employer, I think, is doing a fantastic job to, and obviously I'm a district employee, but the province of BC being the one that oversees all teachers. And
they're on to this. They know about this. Okay.
And I mean, as of our professional day on Monday was about these things.
Okay.
About how to improve our learnings as teachers to make people more aware, make yourself more aware, and how to recognize things before they become detrimental to someone.
Right.
And one is breaking down the silence so that people can speak about where before it hits the tipping point. Hey, look, I'm not feeling right. Okay. So we didn't get to the point where I'm having a crisis. We want to get to the point where I'm not feeling right so I can fix it. So if you're feeling the wonky ankle, well, you strap your ankle up.
Yeah, of course.
Before you break it or you tear your ligament. So we do that with mental health. And for us and people who like myself, who I might see your kid for an hour and a half a day, is one more person to just keep their eye on them to make sure that they're going well. Parents, I would like to think, have more influence than me as on their kid. But
I think
should
majority
also have more connection and seeing their kid if things aren't right. They know them better than
100%.
And so I get them from a raw point of view on how they step outside of their comfort zone to being around their parents, and I get to see them for who they are. But I have to learn real quick who they are, and if I identify or if I see something that I might have to speak up to help them.
And the flip side of that is knowing when a kid is saying it when he doesn't. He's just using it as an excuse, or because you got to. If it's happened, it's going to happen the other way. And
that's the sad part, and we see that in anything in life, people wanting to take advantage of a situation.
Could just be laziness or whatever, right? And you hate to even say that, but
very small
it is small. I agree.
But at the same time,
happens.
We go through the same channels. We operate it as if it is a serious thing, even if we ask questions. And then we go about making an evaluation how we go about it. And I think from my job point of view and being an educator, I think that from British Columbia and in my district, I think we're doing a great job on trying to keep learning and projecting, understanding and growing from an understanding from within the staff. From sport, I think sports bring it. I always pronounce her name wrong. The gymnast Bias, the female.
Oh
gymnast,
she said she should have quit sooner.
She should have quit sooner, and so she just came out, I think, yesterday, the day before, with an article on it. I think sports is catching up. It's in elite sports is different than kids, and that's where you get a very contentious issue on what you believe. Now, I still believe mental health is a serious thing, and
100% it is for sure.
And we do treat it like an injury. And I listened to another podcast about this. Forget specifically which one, and it was talking about how professional athletes, when you go to a job, when you become a CEO, well, it's a hard job. It's 80 hours a week.
Yep.
It's more stressful. You're going to have to be pushed to the brink of exhaustion, physically, mentally.
Unless you're the CEO of Rugby Canada. So I had to get to
I like to think that's a pretty hard job, and that's right now probably very stressful.
It should be.
So you think about it from that level, like, but when you sign up for a
that's
job,
for you, Tooq.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like, it's not like I didn't get my share of criticism playing rugby. Whether it's because I was 35, 36, 37 years old and thinking that, well, and I'm not Tom Brady. But why is this old guy playing still?
Chara.
Right? And so you're going to get that. Is that pressure going to weigh on me? Well, athletes at a level have a resiliency.
Yeah.
Not everyone is. And if you go look at these young athletes are more vulnerable. They haven't grown as much. So they may haven't had that weathering, that that resilience. I think some individuals, you have to look at an individual basis, potentially on what it is. And you have hockey players who are really speaking out, like Robin Lettner, who's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a more of a medical condition that causes it, but he's so self-aware. He goes for treatment. He constantly works on it, but he's one of the biggest advocates to say, like, do not cross me when challenging me in my thought process and my mental health. And I think other people that are speaking out are really doing a great job to make it more aware. And at the end of the day, a lot of these people who are throwing the jabs have no skin in the game.
No,
so
that's right.
You got to take, people who are going to rally up.
That's right.
Like the people who are going to rally up on the sideline about your missed pass. So the approach is very hard. Everyone's going to take it differently. And I support, my friends and teammates and everything when they have a mental health issue or potentially going to it. Mental health issue can be, your dad dying. A dog, pet, anything. So, like, we can talk about it and the physiology to the smallest little thing that impacts you, that is about you as an individual. And just because you over there don't do it like this, how do you have judgment on me? Well,
that's, the Eichel in Buffalo. Yeah. I think what they're doing to that kid is bullshit.
A shocker, Buffalo screws.
Well, that is scum there. That's like unbelievable.
It's a turnstile for an organization.
Unbelievable.
I live right across the street.
How many times did you go to the Odd?
They did it to Lindy Ruff.
Ted Nolan. Ted Nolan.
Like, it's just shocking the way they treat the organization and the people in it.
I read up more about the Ted Nolan thing just to put a little bit of my spin on this. Is that Patrick Lafontaine came back after all those years and offered him an opportunity to because it was Muckler and Sather and he flat out turned him down because
it's deeper than
he was so deep into his spiritual awakenings in the big house and within his culture that he didn't want to leave that, and good on him, but blackballed again.
Oh man,
bullshit. So that it is a dumpster fire in Buffalo.
That goes back to your old boys club. I mean, I have my reservations on different sports and who's good and who's bad. And I think any pundit, any fan loves to have their opinion, and I look at it and I think at times there's brilliant people and I hate age should never be in a question of someone's ability. You go look at
gender
100%. I mean, I was thinking about more of the age. Because everyone wants to give validity to people who are 70 because they've been around this long. You go look at St. Louis's Rams or LA Rams coach who's 34 years old.
Yeah, San Fran.
Changing the game.
Sure he is.
And you got players older than him. He's hiring people older than him. And he's a young person showing that he can be successful.
How did he get Stafford? How did that even happen?
Because he's Jim Jones. He is David Koresh. He makes people believe in him. He makes people believe in him. And people believe in him. And you look at his excitement. He brings a new age way of the way the kids want to work. And the way is that I'm not going to coach the way my old coach used to do it. It was okay for me then, but I'm keeping up with the Joneses, man. Like, how to make the best out of people is what you got to look at, not how I used to do it. And we're not encyclopedia salesmen anymore.
No.
And that's the biggest thing is that we're selling the same crap. We package it different. We do it in many things.
Because it was an old boys club.
And it was an old boys club. And you have to go about going, well, what are we trying to do?
So people think that an old boys club is just 70-year-old, 60-year-old men making decisions, and you need an influx of women in that positions to even up the scale. You definitely Toronto Maple Leafs. There's an example of what they're doing with Haley Wickenheiser and stuff like that. But to keep on your thought is maybe that the young coaches that don't think that way, like the old boys club. It's like what he's doing. That works in some sports. And you see it in the NHL where Mike Babcock got the boot and stuff like that. And rightfully so. I'm not a fan of that guy. Yet that's my team he coached. But what he did to Mitch Marner and stuff like that, that's old school bullshit.
What he did at Commerce.
What he did to, in Commerce but and having to fly to Arizona to
Chelios,
that shit just doesn't work.
What a bad coach.
He's just a horrible, and I bet he's a shit guy. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's it. It's like, yeah, can you do the X's and O's on the whiteboard?
Whatever.
Absolutely. Guess what? They all can do that. But it's about making people better and getting the best out of them and drawing them out, whether they're 40 at Chelios' age or whether they're Mitch Marner at 22 years old.
That's right. Yeah.
And the fact is that he struggles to do that.
He can't.
Because he wants to do it one way, and this is the way. Every year changes, and if you're not growing, and I tell you what, this is the one biggest thing I can, in the compliment to Kieran Crowley that I remember seeing, is that he would ask for feedback about what he thought he needed to do.
That was my point. Like that.
And that guy would. I could see actively the changes he made.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired.
Because of feedback. It's not. You can't say I'm a great coach. I'm this. I'm that. It's up to other people to do that, and you're only going to get that with feedback.
100%. And this is the one thing that I learned in my sporting career. The first time you're getting feedback, potentially most of it's going to be work-ons.
Yeah.
Things you need to get better at.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to be told that you're not really as good as you thought you were. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But you kind of know that too.
You'd be surprised, but your ego gets in the way.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. You have to be very humbled. And I think I grew in this department. And now it's great to also highlight the positives.
Yeah.
And because I came back to the young kids part, you have to go look at the good things.
Yeah.
But at least identify where you can get better. It's how you identify it. Hey, look, see this over here. Watch this athlete do this. Watch this player do this. You know what? You're getting there, but try to keep working on this. Instead of saying, see, you're not really good here anymore. We need to get you better here. So the minute you just bridge it and deliver this connection a little easier and grow it, and this is specifically what I did some of my work on in my master's, was how to word things towards getting people the best and still talking about a work on, but not in a negative way, in a positive way. Showing positives.
So it changed for me when I figured out the difference between humility and humiliation, because I thought it was the same. Was I wrong? But it was the same to me, where you had to get in shit to get this or that, but that that's when it changed for me. That I knew the difference.
So what's his name? McVay, I think, like the coach for the Rams.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him yell at anyone?
Yeah. No.
Professional sports is hard to yell at athletes
because
they're making millions. But if I put him in a college system and I was the guy, the
GM,
do you think he'd yell at a young person? I have no doubt in my mind. Don't think he would.
No, probably not. Which is weird.
That's his coaching philosophy.
Yeah.
He's out there to get the best of you. So when I yell at you and tell you do something freaking wrong, what do you want to go about doing? Do you want to go make it right, or you just want to call me an asshole?
Yeah, this is like that. Wow, that's we're an hour into this, and that's just this subject we could go another hour on. And okay, so wow, okay. I reflect back, and I was lazier than I should have been, and I needed that to be yelled at. I needed to be held accountable, because I just wasn't mature enough to do that on my own. And it was almost a fear thing. I knew I had the ability to, if only you just applied yourself more, which should be tattooed somewhere on my body.
So what didn't let you apply that?
I think it was
effort.
I just didn't take it serious. There was.
Did you want to be there?
Authority. I don't like authority. Probably. I've come to appreciate it, but
because you assume that authority is someone who's going to
coach.
Tell you how to do it.
Yeah, totally. I was never taught. I grew up a single. Like, my dad died very young, and he wasn't there, so I never really had that father figure. It was, and not to woe was me.
And learnings.
I missed out on opportunity. I've never caught a fish.
So if
never caught a fucking fish.
If you don't know,
I lived in Tooq for 7 years. Never got a fucking.
So like,
who doesn't do that?
So like, if you don't know how to do something,
yes,
or you're not a master in doing something, why are you yelling at someone?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, good point.
So, yelling at the 35-year-old Tom Brady who makes a bad decision because he chooses to make a bad decision. Does he need to be yelled at?
Tom Brady?
Yeah.
No.
Because he knows what he's done wrong. So why at a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old who's still growing?
Well,
why
because
would we yell at someone? Why wouldn't we? It's not coddling. Why wouldn't we go, look, made a mistake. What would you go about doing better next time? Because you can learn that way.
Is it a mistake, or is it just that player being lazy and self-entitled? Because okay, that's the difference. See, so this is what I mean. Yeah,
and effort and attitudes are how we should be picking teams.
Right.
Not outcomes. So if you go to pick a team, and I want kids who give 100% effort, have a great attitude, and work hard, that is how I pick a team.
Right.
So if you can't follow, go watch right now. Go watch Dave Rennie at Australia. Do you think he's just picking strictly on form? It's a major part. But everyone has a great attitude on the team. Everyone's pushing each other on the team. Everyone's working hard. And their effort is at the maximum level. He will not accept less because if you drop your standard in those 4 or 5 departments, he will not pick you because someone else is going to leapfrog you and give more effort, have a better attitude and all that. And so he makes it very easy. And what ends up happening, he drives the standard of his team because everyone at that level wants to play at that level. And
they buy in. But it only takes one person to really put a clog in that, right? I mean...
Out.
Yeah, no, yeah. Right, exactly.
And the thing is that he's brought in some amazing things off the field within their culture. He's improved to get some of his Australian players back because they had the ghetto rule, which only allows you 2 people over 60 caps and like playing 8 years in Australia, which is a big fence in the way. But how is he getting this team under Cheka, who's done very, very well?
Yeah.
They won games. They went on a trend low. How has he gotten almost half the group, the same group, to lift to the next level? And now, arguably, and probably after November, will probably be the number 2 team in the world.
Oh, that's bold.
I call it right now.
That's bold.
They'll be number 2 team in the world after November.
Wow, that's bold.
I've had him as a coach. He came on tour with us for a couple sessions.
How is Phil Mack not a coach?
He's at the Pacific Pride now, and he's growing his trade. He's gone, obviously, from MLR and being let go by that fantastic organization. And so he's taken an opportunity to grow his coaching as an assistant, moved into the head coaching role at Pacific Pride, and he's really getting to do this every day and do what he loves doing, what he's skilled at, and then be challenged to grow.
But I guess if I'm going to knock RC, we have to get a coach from here. We have to get a coach from over there. We have to do this. And it's not necessarily the best. It's a name, but it's not like I can look at.
Why? Because I talk like this.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? Yeah. So I just think there's some local people, Canadians, that would make much better coaches and understand. And again, when we first started this podcast, it was club rugby.
Yeah, no, we'll get there. We will.
Will we? Is it? Yep. Do you see that happening?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I do trust process. I do trust that you have to believe that the membership within Canada wants to see Canadian top level coaches. I think Phil knows he's not there. I think he's
really?
Not there
okay.
Yet.
All right.
I think he will be there.
There it is.
I think at this moment, and knowing what I know and what he knows and how much work and understanding and little details that it causes to run a top international team, there's connections, there's relationships you need to build. He has the ability to get there. He needs time.
Sean White.
He needs Tom. Sean White too. Sean White, work with him this summer. Like, you can see people who do it. I do believe, in my opinion, you have to play at a high level.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
And that's the criticism I have with some coaches is like, you have to play at a reasonably high level to understand the intricacies, the little details. And Phil will be there, and I really look forward to seeing where he grows as a coach.
Yeah. How far away do you think he is?
Honestly,
5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Oh,
I think
fair.
5 years.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I like to think there's a number of coaches in Canada who can do it. The NHL has a lot of coaches who didn't play at the highest level, but you have a lot of coaches who are fourth line grinders.
Yeah.
Right? So like we look at rugby, and rugby has so many more different aspects of the game, some that are very specific. And we also have a coaching group that will let you grow. So yeah, he's going to need a scrum coach and a forward coach because he's a back.
Yeah.
But can he run the organization? Can he run the team? Can he, be the puppet master and to be able to make those different shifts within coaching, styles, plays, culture, growth within the youth, rallying the whole country around that team that he's coaching. I think he can do that. But for that, it takes time. And that challenge is one he hasn't had before. So he's starting with the pride. And I think he has that opportunity to show what he can do, grow as a player, make mistakes, and get better. And I look at it because I'm in that same position, wanting to grow my right now my consultant business, but me as a coach, and how I can refine and improve and challenge myself every day. Mm-hmm. And I think right now we look at it comes back to why do we have an experienced player from around the world, and I play it on both sides of the coin. Like if you want a really good hockey coach, you probably ask a Canadian if you're coaching Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, and they do.
And so, like, in Canada, to ask a Kiwi, a Welshman, a Frenchman to come and coach because they are ingrained with that thing. But there is people in this country who are top-level players that are going. And we will get there. We just have to be able to set them up also and guide them for success. Yeah. And that is the thing I think that kind of gets in the way a bit, is that we don't give and surround them enough resources and enough support at times for them to be 100% successful. Because if you took Phil Mack and you put him in New Zealand, I think he's going to go and do really well and might grow quicker. It might be only 3 years. It might be 2 years. It might get a better challenge. He might have a better support network around him. But that's part of the challenge of being in Canada. But at the same time, and this is where I wanted to finish this little is like, we can believe in people coming from other countries and learn from them. But how do they know what Canadian people are? And how to make a Canadian work?
Through SCTV.
Well, that's it. How do you know who to push, when to pull? You have to know individuals, but you have to know cultural significances. And that part is like, as a coach, and the way I evaluate coaches is that you have to know your athlete, not your athletes. I want you to know individually how each person works, how they work in a group, whether it's forwards or backs or attack, whatever. And then, culturally, what drives this group? From an age group, from a nationality, where are they coming from? They're all big parts of it.
We always seem to know not everything, but certainly way more about other countries, habits, lifestyles than people know about Canada. Mm-hmm. You ever notice that? Yeah. Like even history and geography and all this stuff is that we tend to know the actual what happened in World War I, World War II, this, we don't go into their countries and try to, and we're loved all over the world. And I'll tell you, and I'm leading to this because I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me was I got asked through ISN, Island Sports News, if one of my photographers could go out and cover an event that was happening. I can't remember what school. Was it Spectre or Bell? I can't remember it, but it was the BC Lions just won the Grey Cup. And they were going to do this caravan. They were going to go around to schools and, promote it and like, woo-hoo-hoo, Grey Cup champs. And I got there late. And I had to go through the back door of this school and down this little hallway. And there was Travis Toole. There was McCallum, some union guy, a BC or a CFL guy. And they had the trophy in this rickety old case that you would find in your great-grandmother's attic somewhere. And inside was the Grey Cup. Mm-hmm. And I'd never really I've seen it, but I never touched it. I said, boys, is that the Grey Cup?
The oldest rugby trophy in the world.
And it is a rugby, and this is kind of this is where I'm going with it. Is They said, yeah. And I said, do you want to hold it? I said, I'd love to. It's rickety. It is. There's nothing to this. And I turned to Travis Lulay, and I said to him, straight in his face, I should probably have the camera on me. Fuck, this is Raw Sports. I said to him straight in his face, I go, hey, man, how's it feel to be on the trophy with Wayne Gretzky? And he's like, Southern thing. It's this is football. This is the Grey Cup. And I went, yeah, I know what cup it is. Thanks, Travis. But I said, you don't know that Wayne Gretzky's on the Grey Cup? He looks at McCallum. McCallum didn't know. I'm like, and I go, boys, and John Candy.
Yeah.
And he's, what? You all right? And I go,
owner of the Argonauts.
I go, 90, 91, in around there with the Rocket Ishmael. They grabbed the cup from me. They holy, but there he is. Yeah. Fast forward 2 minutes. They were in the hallway waiting to get it announced. So all the kids are screaming, kid, this is Travis Lulay. And he comes out. He grabs the mic and he goes, hello, whatever school, I can't remember. I can't tell you what an honor it is to have this be on. Oh, fucking guy. I can't believe it. I'm so honored to be on the cup with the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I'm like, you prick. 2 minutes ago, you didn't even know. Like, what are you fucking kidding me? What a piss off, right? Yeah. So, again, you don't know our culture. You don't know what you play here. You were great here. You won a cup here. But what do you know? What do you know?
Go look at and I think that's it. Is there's cultures within just teams. The way our Ontario team worked to the way British Columbia's team work, or way CW to Victoria, University team work. There's cultures within everything. And if you go look at like, and this is the one thing, and I've been saying this to a few people, and I go like, the people who know Dave Rennie in Australia. And this is why I bring it up because when the Australia job went up, I literally go, I saw Dave Rennie on it. I go, you're going to hire that guy because he's the best guy for the job. And this guy will change your sport in your country, but will change the culture within your country. And so conveniently on today, and I look at what his influence within the country of Australia and rallying around rugby, which is it was arguably the number 6 sport. Rugby union. Yeah. It is moving its way back up the ladders within in its country's culture, within what the identity of it being a rugby nation, a cricket nation, a rugby league nation, an AFL nation. And it has a big challenge. And so I look at it and I go, how is he going about doing it? And his immersion in First Nation people in Australia and work on their own reconciliation right now and inclusion of their culture of First Nation people. And he is using the culture of Australia, one, to heal and to bring awareness to, one, to have a sense of identity of what Australia is, it should be, and bridging and improving relationships.
COVID must have just put him behind.
And it's
like just the laws and what's going on over there.
Yeah, and I look over there and I go, and they just had their First Nations jersey game the other day.
Okay.
And it was amazing to see. And I'm speculating, but I feel like this is what he grew from his ethos and how he's going to change that team's culture and what they're going to rally on and how he's going to get back to basics and being a good human being. Because he wants them to be amazing, unbelievable rugby players. But he's making them better people at the same time. And that's the ethos when I look at my philosophy is like, that is what makes amazing coaches.
I get that. I get that. And that's, I you know what? Awesome. But you must have a massive support from the board of directors and the people that call the shots.
Well, when they hire you,
that's
you
what I mean.
Hope it. You better hope
that's what I mean, right?
And so, that's the buy-in you see on the off-field stuff. Is that
the players see that if the governors and the chairman of the board and everybody else is buying into the coach, why not us too, right?
And that's it. It is like sometimes your board members, you wonder, is your board member an ex-player or someone who's played
exactly, yes,
or is it someone passionate and successful in business that wants to grow their game? Because that has a huge part of it.
Yes,
because.
Building from the top down. It's not just the same.
When a business person tells a high-level coach how to do something, I have a problem with that.
Yes.
It's like telling my dad how to have sex.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you made me, bud.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
shouldn't have to tell you how to do something when you're the master, you're the greatest at it.
Right.
It's like,
yes.
And I mean, it's a very, like, I'm bringing a laugh to the analogy, but that's exactly it.
It's
like,
so true.
You trust people to do their job really well. So he came in to be the coach. He wants to have less barriers to be allowed to grow and show how we can bring a team together.
Yep.
And so if I got a board member who was great at selling toothbrushes, well, do I tell him how to brush your teeth? No, of course not. Like, the guy knows everything about toothbrushes. So why are you telling me how to grow a team or get a team to go to the direction where I think...
Would you tell Dell from Trains, Planes, and Automobiles how to sell shower curtain rings?
Hell no.
No. Dell knows.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's where you're going with it, is that you in a functioning business model or in a functioning team or group, if people have their job and they're allowed to do their job to the best of their ability and no one gets in the way or becomes a killer of someone's ideas.
Ego. We talked about this.
Then that team and that part within the team will be successful and everyone does their job to the best of their ability and grows. Then your team will win at some level. It might not win the last game, but it'll be there.
Is Rugby Canada listening? Is that something that you think is going to be their mantra? Like they're going to take this on as the same thing? And is this like?
Be more specific.
Where do you think Rugby Canada is going to be in 5 years with a guy like Phil Mack, Sean White? They're going to have these absolute goals in mind and learning their trade and their craft, like you said. They're also if you know what you just said, they obviously know the exact same thing and how other countries are coaching their players and treating their. Will they be allowed to be able to perform under the same sanctions?
Great question. I think one that you have to bring in the conversation is the financial struggles.
On the podium?
On the podium, it brings in a significant portion of money. I think on the podium is going to have a little shakeup right now. I have that information knowing that there's a review of the on the podium from a Canadian point of view from the Olympics.
They've changed.
They will be changing, and I don't think we'll be hit from that because the on the podium specifically funds the women's sevens program more than the men's. It does both, but I don't think we're going to see a drop off just because.
Well, they lost ranking.
They did, and I don't think because of the ranking that we're going to lose that. Because you can have a bad showing, you can have one bad tournament. If you had 4 years of bad tournaments, it changes things. One bad tournament shouldn't change the whole landscape of what that team can do. So,
does Own the Podium care about the athlete, or does Own the Podium care about owning the podium?
I don't like the model.
No.
On a personal level, I don't like. I like to think they care about the athlete.
Okay.
But for me, when Carding came in, they took it away from 15s players and made it only 7s based. I don't have that full experience of being an on the podium athlete. So you'd have to ask one of those athletes on how they feel. I would like to think they do think about the best for the athlete. But at the end, funding was given to millions of dollars are given to programs to win. Well, Rowing Canada, welcome. You haven't done well.
No, the two women again.
Right.
One. 25, 30 million? I don't know.
So, that's why I don't think the model really works when you saw, someone like Penny, her first Olympics, probably only making $1,500 a month and has one coach and maybe a nutritionist and some support.
Yeah, 7 medals, thank you.
And then cashed in and performed.
Yeah.
And not that she didn't perform again this Olympics, but I don't think it's the recipe always needed for success. So do I think Rugby Canada can get it right? They have the next 2 weeks are huge.
Absolutely.
We need to go out and beat Chile and do a job this upcoming Saturday at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
Get your tickets and sell
Starlight.
the stadium up and fire it up for the boys. So, like, that's the other thing. You need to go out and fire it up for the boys.
Couldn't agree more.
And the girls when they're playing.
Couldn't agree more.
You know what? We need to go and have those tickets for students to be $5.
Couldn't agree more.
That's the criticism I do have of Rugby Canada. Why are you charging $40 for a student?
I don't even know who the media. Is Brian Kelly back now, or
No,
what?
I don't know what Brian's doing, but within
I don't even get anything to promote this. Like, and I've been doing this 13 years. Like, what are they doing?
I'm out here trying to get my high school kids cheap tickets because I'm not asking a kid to pay $40 when it's their first time to watch an international event. Things like that, like, you know, I have my own beliefs. Like, I like to think I put enough tackles in to earn a free ticket.
You think?
I don't get one. And you know what? But I make enough money to support the boys, and I'll buy my $40 ticket.
Yeah.
I
have a media pass, and I'll buy a thing.
Exactly, right? Because I believe in the cause. But like at the same time, you want growth the game, and I get all these grassroots people firing back at me. We have Rookie Rugby, which is a free way of getting rugby in your community. But you know, I want kids to go out and be inspired to play the game and to look at the next, Phil Mack. And go, I want to be like that guy, and I want to go buy a T-shirt and spend money there. And then, you know what? Before you know what, I am going to go watch the next week game and spend the $20 on Premier Sports to get the game because I'm invested into that.
You know, you bring up a good point because it's in other sports, you'll see kids hanging around with their pen and their paper going at a specific player, wanting a McDavid autograph or this guy autograph or that woman autograph. I don't know if rugby have you seen that where somebody will come up and I get maybe in the women's side with Jen and to be honest, I saw the least amount of autographs in a Canada game. Yeah, wow.
Like as a player, I probably Toronto at a big game.
Yeah.
Like from my experience.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm
not a brand name here. I'm not John Moonlight. I'm not DTH Vandermeer. Like guys who people love, which they're amazing teammates, friends, and players.
Sure.
But I look at like my experience after a game in Langford. You know how many autographs I can say? I can probably count them on Langford.
Really? Wow.
Which isn't a positive thing, but
it's not. And
that means I don't blame the kids. I think that we're just doing not enough awareness.
That's exactly what it is. That's are we going to enough schools? Are we being enough? Are we in their face? Like I said, when I again, not to beat a horse, but I think they really missed an opportunity during the vid where they really could have taken this by storm.
Well,
but,
I agree. Like, rugby is I don't know where it sits on the line of popularity in our sports. In this community, in this area, rugby's big. I'm over obviously coaching my high school team, and I was
fourth here, and it's big here.
It's big here.
Fourth or
I'm
fifth.
over at Dunsmuir the other day doing a touch session for the little minis going out down there, and I love my opportunity to give back to grassroots. And not that I want them to know who I am. They have no clue.
No.
And that's okay with me. And that's fun because I want them to just go and have fun.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I rock
Their
up.
Their parents know.
I rock up in France, and I guarantee it's a different story.
Oh, 100%.
I go to Fiji, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Go to Ireland, it's a different story.
100%.
And I play for Canada, the team 21st in the world. So, like, that's how much they know about sport and rugby, specifically the way we know about hockey. The minute Florida Panthers guys are walking around here and you see Barkov. Every hockey kid knows who Barkov is, even though he's not in the media here.
No.
So, like, it just shows you how much investment you wanted to grow and love
a
the
gap.
sport. And that goes back to me wanting to get kids immersed in the sport and how I love to teach them and
there is a gap.
know about it.
Yes.
And so, like,
Own the Podium should be doing more. When it first started, I remember they contacted me, and it was taking their premise was taking an athlete that was injured and turning him into another athlete. Claire Hughes, Jesse Lumsden. I don't know where it kind of went to the supporting whatever, but we have Via Sport or Via Sport here. Yeah. I don't really know a lot about them, or what. But while I'm here, I have to say that I'm going to toot my own horn real quick, is that my partner, Howie Mays from Howie's Car Corral, and we've came up with this with I'm hoping to work with Red Arrow and Pacific FC.
What a brewery.
It really is, Jeremy. I just,
I love it.
Dude, I can't. And we are going to start a Fit a Kid.
Oh, amazing.
And what it is basically just that, fitting a kid, whether it's whatever the situation is. If it's hockey, he's a goalie, we're going to get all the goalie gear and whatever, and then again, have a little bursary stuff. But we're going to do community events up and down the island, and that's really what we want to do. The only way to get this done is to talk to community people.
Yep.
Right? That's it. So, I'm just starting this Rugby Canada, not just to pick on Rugby Canada. There's lots, but again, when you're playing club rugby, the fans that are there every week.
So I look at that, things like that. Okay, our rugby community. Let's just take Cowichan down, just to shorten it.
Yep.
We look at these 5 clubs in the area.
Yep.
And we look at just clubs. We're not looking at
just clubs.
Elementary tag teams,
nope.
High school teams. And why haven't we had out there pressuring in a positive way, saying, look, directors of your club, presidents of your club, we want you to buy $55 tickets for all your young kids. And to come to the game and watch it and be inspired.
Yes.
And so, you know what? Yeah, you're not going to make the high-end revenue, but I don't believe you'll make it on $40 tickets this week. And what you'll do is expose them to an event. Do I care that the kid watches every single minute of the game? No, I want them at the fun event. The way I saw the little kids at the rink with their mini sticks playing in the corner. The way when I was in Australia playing, where I saw all the little Polynesian boys in the corner while their dads are on the field and they're having their little
kicking the ball
around and watching.
Exactly.
And you're seeing these little
by proxy.
These little fun little and what pro sports are doing, Major League Baseball do as well. They're having these little play areas.
Sure they are.
For kids to go out and just chuck a ball around.
McDonald's made a brand out of it. Right.
And so what I would have done, I would have taken that left side of the field over by the road there. I would have made that the little Tykes area to go over and kids are...
A couple little uprights or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And had just a little area where the kids are playing free and having fun and enjoying the game.
Charging $10 to watch them. Daycare.
You know what I mean?
Rugby daycare.
And then you go have your hot dog thing over there you're selling, and you have your beer for your parents in the beer garden.
How hard is it to do that?
Man, you know what? You gotta be innovative. You can't be dinosaur.
Outside the box.
You can't be a dinosaur anymore. Like I said, everyone's out here is selling the same old crap.
Shit, exactly. I agree.
And unfortunately, you have to be innovative. You need some young people in here who are vibrant, who won't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, who might be, people who really.
I'm sure Lank would pay for that. I'm sure Stu Young.
Yes, he would, because he's a legend.
Well, how much he does everything right.
It's sickening.
He does everything right.
It's sickening. I tell you what, one of the greatest things that's happened in this community is that person.
100%.
Look,
if he said it would cost $7,500 to set up a little Tykes with a little thing up here, or PFC with a soccer net, he'd go out there and put the shovel in tomorrow.
Yep. And I think those are the things. And there is that little bit of room there behind that fence now where they make it like a beer garden, I think, for this with the Langford sevens, for the women's sevens there. I said, you got to be creative. I mean, this is me as a teacher, and I look at ways to be creative every day and how to mold the minds and how to get the best out of people. But how am I going to get people to come there?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, if I'm sitting there with my little nephews and nieces and they're running around and I can keep an eye on them, but I'm sitting on this fence having a cold red arrow, right?
Yeah.
I'm having Piggy's finest and drinking one, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting over
there. At a Lake Town Lager.
Exactly. That's my go-to.
Yeah, me too now.
Right? And so I look over there and I go, oh, my kid's having fun playing footy. I'm getting to watch the game, and I'm getting to have an ICB. So, that's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
and not hard to do.
I mean, who am I to tell? I'm a teacher, but I look at that and I go, I think that's
doable,
achievable in any way.
Right, exactly.
But what do I know? I'm just a geographer.
And that's what gets me back about the is it the ego or what, you know. What I find is it's so frustrating that you almost have to make it sound like it's their idea. You know what I mean?
I'll tee it up for them.
We just did, but you have to, you can't say it like we're saying it because it sounds like whatever. Oh fuck, I don't know. I don't know exactly, but you have to almost like closer, warm. That's what I find anyway. Yeah, it's
Take it out of the oven for 'em too? Nice and
I
warm?
guess so. I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. We keep selling the same.
There has to be a change because, like I asked you, and I was dead serious about that. Where are we in 5 years? Where is rugby in 5 years?
We haven't even talked about the actual rugby yet.
No.
We just talked about participating.
Okay. Yeah, fair it is.
So, I mean, like, this is some of the things I deal with in the roles, and what I do within rugby now is that sometimes it's back to the minis and just having fun and playing passing, and then you gotta go and have to solve bigger problems. Right?
Yeah.
And those things like this, you know, we might have a great idea, and there might be flaws that we don't know yet. But we I think it's
came up with the groundwork.
Exactly, right? Enough to be investigated or looked at.
Yeah.
And I'll give them credit. They are thin in staff. They're under financial struggles, just like America is in U.S. rugby. So COVID is ravaged businesses and community stuff, and it is recovering.
So simple. So go back to simple, and then like do an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
You know what? Here's a great thing. Try something.
Just try something too.
And if it screws up and
cares?
doesn't work, and it costs you a couple grand, or a few thousand or $10,000. Man, that's not going to break the bank.
Look at this.
It's not $150,000.
Look around the room. 16.
Exactly.
This could blow up tomorrow.
I mean, exactly. Like the $500 camera I have, and I want to wrap it around a tree when I can't putt right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an investment. Hey, will I get better? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I try with it? Yeah. You know what? I might have to go back to the crappy putter and get it right done. But
that's another podcast too, by the way, because I am a firm bellever that equipment is bullshit. I'm telling you right now, man. If Phil Mickelson stopped at a garage sale on his way to Bear Mountain and picked up 40-year-old clubs out of a dusty old bag, he's still shooting a 71. I just don't care.
It's true, but I think we have to be innovative. I think I look at that in rugby. If you go look at rugby and the new changes in laws, the 50-22, and I look at things like the way we're playing. I look at the way other teams are playing, how you want to play, what's your strengths, and that ethos of how to build a team, and you have to make this exciting. If it's not exciting, the players don't buy in, the fans don't like it.
The game just slows down.
I'll tell you what, people love watching South Africa play and watching Test rugby. Test rugby is boring.
Yeah,
you have to like it for what it is, and the ability to scrum and maul and kick.
Yeah,
but does it sell tickets? It sells tickets to diehard fans.
Yeah,
it doesn't sell tickets to new people.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your outcome, and what are you trying to get to? And for us, we're right now trying to get to a World Cup and winning this weekend, and then going down and playing our next game against Chile to put ourselves into the next step towards qualifying.
Yeah.
So one is like, I think I look at it as like getting out there and supporting.
So you got to support.
But at the same time, it's like we need to start playing rugby not in the crappy winter. We need to play a brand of rugby that Canadians like and what are good to Canadian talent and Canadian athleticism. I mean, you can go over to England and they're great, better rugby players than us, but they ain't better athletes.
No.
Some are, but not all of them. We're just as good of athletes. We play sport, and most of our kids play multiple sports. And on the national teams and at these other teams in club rugby, and they're playing hockey, they're playing baseball, and they're playing football, they're playing soccer.
And you're seeing it now too. I mean, we're winning golds and bronzes where we never in those sports we didn't win those before. And you know what? I got to start with it to say this is that I've been so turned off with the Olympics as a commercial commerce nonsense bullshit. But I got sucked in this year, man. I just did. I did. That soccer game. It's dude.
Fair enough. You know what? I watched the women's soccer team, and I watched actually women's softball.
Yeah, Emma. We had Emma on a couple weeks ago.
And I watched those two the most.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I watched more track events.
Me too.
This time go around because I've lost the real love as a young person because it's not amateurism anymore.
Remember, you used to be on like a box of Wheaties if you won or something. It was a big deal. Like, remember, like that. It's not like.
But now we're rewarding success. We're doling up money on projections. You know, I mean, I don't believe in it, and whatever top end people think that works. I think they'll have to answer to the bell. But to be honest, when I look back at the Olympics, it's not like me watching playoff hockey where I can watch any team. Watching playoff baseball, the NFL.
Like, are we doing it for the athlete?
Ryder Cup. I'm watching. Like,
yeah,
you know, like, and that's it. And so, you know, when I look at the Olympics, I've lost it because your commercialization. Ugh. The professional level. I mean,
you know what gets me is that are we doing it for the fans? Is this like some of the events and the sports that they have, like the ballroom dancing and the this and the that? I get it. No, actually, I don't. I don't get it. But like inline hockey would have been a great one or something like that. But are we doing this? What are we doing this for?
Well, they do it for money. Let's be honest.
Well, no, yeah, but
we go listen to every other podcast who really wants to dial into this is like the reason why they've offered NHL what they've offered to get them there because there's a financial benefit.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But, like, at the end of the day, like...
I'm not going to watch it.
Here's a great one, and I love the world to find this one out. So we look at, you know, I look at rugby and growing the game. So for rugby to grow, specifically for the higher level, you need universities in Canada to have it there.
Yeah.
Right? It's the gap between high school and elite level.
Yeah.
So that age between 18 and let's arguably say 23, 24, depending. And so... I look at it and I go, we got women's 15s and CIS rugby.
Yep. U Sports.
U Sport.
I know, me too. Right? I'm old school
right now. Yeah, U Sport. So within U Sport.
I still call it the Can West Mall, so whatever, man.
So like U Sport. and you go look at our women's 7s teams, our 15s teams, our age grade teams, and they're doing very well and they're healthy.
Yeah.
And they're successful and they got lots of good athletes, good rugby players playing. And where our gap is in men is 18 to 23, where people go, well, shit, do I go and get a job, or can I play this, or am I just cool to casually play rugby at the local club, which is fine. But we need to bridge the gap for the other level and keep growing athletes in university. While they're playing a good standard, all these universities have strength and conditioning and kinesiology programs to take care of the athletes. They have coaches. So how do we get that to the youth sport level? And that proposal is going in to grow that because it's the missing link in rugby in Canada.
Okay.
And here's the biggest problem is that, and we look at what changes things and what causes an effect. And they want to put in a recommendation that women's 7s goes into the youth sport. And I am so against this because youth sport, like the Olympics, needs to financially be fiscally responsible. And if it can
tuition.
And exactly. So if you have to pay 30 athletes to go from UVic to University of Alberta men's team or women's team, that's going to cost a good amount of money. So you have to have that money. Now, the minute you put it to 7s, and you go, well, we want to have a 7s league in the spring, and we want to have a fall league in men's. U-Sport's going to tell you to take a walk, and then they're just going to go, yeah, you know what? I can save $150,000 in the first semester or whatever the money, $500,000 in travel costs.
Yeah.
Well, screw 15s. We're only going to go 7s.
And that's what's happening.
And we're seeing what I was in university when 7s made it to get into the games, and there is a place for 7s. But what is caused is an imbalance because we just don't create enough rugby players right now. But we are giving avenue potentially with what the guidance of Rugby Canada might go and try to push.
Are you developing a 15s player or a 7s player?
You could take a 15s player and make him a 7s player. You'll struggle to make a 7s player or 15s player.
See, and people would say the opposite.
Well, where are you going to get your props at a 7?
Yeah. No, I get, but again, I agree with you. But
you can make 15s players, 7s players. You can guide them that way. So play the 15s game, and when you go to specialization and you want to play 7s as a kid on the weekend, go and play a 7s or play as much rugby as you can. Play 10s, 7s, 15s, 12 aside, tackle, tag, flag, whatever. But when you go to the elite level, and if you just focus on 7s, you'll never create forwards. And your game will die, and we won't get funding, and you can see that nice, fancy little like building over there that has Al Sharon's name on it.
Yeah.
Will go for sale and go closed.
Yeah. So is that what's happening right now?
No, it's not happening. I think
is it because
I think we're seeing a pivotal moment in rugby in this country, and where it needs to be focused on, and we need to bridge it. And I think groups in the strong leadership within Rugby in Canada, not Rugby Canada, Rugby in Canada,
right,
are focusing on getting men's rugby to be a youth sport, is to growing that pathway to growing grassroots sports. But we need the top to be fluid and to change and make decisions that is best for the group, not just for next weekend or next year. And I question some things like most people question.
Well, what you're allowed to.
I'm not allowed to. I'll be shunned. I'll put in the closet and I'll be told to stay away.
Oh. Well,
you have to be able to speak out. I'm not disrespectful to things.
No,
but I think we need to challenge each other the way coaches challenged me on the
then I'm allowed, right?
Yeah,
I am allowed. So of course I am. So this is what this. Okay, I may be way off base. I may be wrong. Whatever. But when I hear rugby talk on the streets here, certainly it's not the 15s.
No,
it's the women's 7s. There you have now, rightfully so. They've actually done really well. Blah 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 blah. All of that, I get all that, but it's so individualized now. It's not a rugby. We're talking rugby. We're talking rugby 7s.
No, and I hate that. And I tried to wanted to change.
But do you agree or?
No, I 100% agree.
Okay.
And I to go on to your point is like I don't want you to just go, well, I play 7s. Well, no. You
play
the
rugby.
Same sport. I play rugby, right? And we wanted to push the leadership to change this narrative and not to make it coded, right? Just like you don't play women's rugby. Let's just remove and just say I play rugby in Canada.
Let's start that movement. Let's start that movement. There's enough movements out there.
Names from it. Let's remove the 7s or 15s. We've
diversity.
Rugby in Canada. It's supposed to be the most inclusive sport possibly in Canada. So let's start with that.
So why don't we have T-shirts? Why don't you put some money and I'll put some money. We'll start a little T-shirt thing. We'll have.
So what was it? Put the union back in rugby.
Yeah, put the union back in rugby, and
collectively be one group.
I play union rugby.
Yeah, I play rugby union. I play union rugby in this country. Doesn't matter if it's what gender, what age group, what.
Who cares?
Who cares? We're supposed to be loving the sport of passing it backwards. That's what it's supposed to be about. And what it brings you as a person. One percenters play the upper level. You're supposed to be what brings us together, and it's supposed to be inclusion and respecting.
And I'm all for it, but it just seems it's selfish to some this when let's just do it all.
Yeah.
Right. All lives matter. All child's lives matter. All this, for the rugby people, I get it. 100%. I think it's for. It's best for the game. Yeah. I play
and
rugby.
I think people, like I said, I know for a fact they're super thin, and people are doing multiple jobs. So what ends up happening is, when people have, if I told you to run the camera, the lighting and the audio, but also open the door and get me a large double, you wouldn't be as good at your job.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't be good at just being one of them or two of them.
Well, it's after 11, so it wouldn't be a double. It'd be a
Three
Lake Town lager.
Red Arrow.
Red Arrow.
We're trying to get you on as a sponsor.
Come on,
here.
Jeremy, Red Arrow. Jeremy,
right,
taxi,
right?
Jeremy.
Exactly, right? And so, no, and I think, that's the part is I don't question the effort.
No.
I don't question people not trying. But when do you try something different? And they
better hurry.
And that's what I think
they better hurry.
We're getting there because I was on that field in 2018 where we got just over the hump to keep us head above water.
Yeah.
Right? I know what the stress and the pressure is. I know I felt it.
Yeah.
And I had to have those conversations as a 38-year-old man with leadership on our team and being like, I know how hard I work, but how much in the stress I felt, to the point where my hair fell out. And I was losing my mind. And so like, I mean, I was laughing more about the hair falling out, but like, I literally like metaphorically being like, wow, like, I don't want to be a part of rugby collapsing because of the financial implications of not qualifying for a World Cup.
Absolutely.
And I know right now I have lots of friends and ex-teammates on that that will feel that pressure. And I'm here to tell them it's not pressure for you.
Stay the course.
You know what? Do your job, work hard at doing your job, and we'll all support you on you giving your best effort.
100%.
And that part, I look at it and going, look, people will have to answer to failures, whether you're a player or you're a manager.
You don't want it to be over money.
I don't want it to be ever over money.
No.
But at the same time, when we give praise for being successful, we need to do it right and praise. And like you look at the women's sevens program, the why people come to that when they look at why that team is so strong. Well, it's obvious. Winning is a magnet.
Oh, sure it is.
And to get more people involved in wanting to play the sport, we have to start winning. Do we need to be number one in the world? No, that'd be fantastic.
Sure.
But we need to be showing growth and improvement, but also playing.
You're not going to win the Stanley Cup every year.
No, and playing a brand
as long as you make the playoffs.
Yeah, playing a brand of rugby that's exciting.
That's it, exactly.
So you can lose if you look good at it.
Yep.
Right? And I think 2015, we were really good at playing a good brand of rugby, one we were excited by, one we were enjoying. And
talk of the town.
Close.
Talk of the town.
And that's the cutthroat part about sport business is that, people might not give a shit if you don't win the last game because winning is everything in sport. But if you're still that close and you're playing a brand of rugby that people like, they'll still come, they'll still be invigorated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, Ray, listen, I bet before we wrap this up, I could talk to you for hours, and I'm sure, we'll have to have you back. But before I go, I want to, what is the best rugby play you've ever seen?
This is where like my crazy mind goes in, and I start
because I have one, I don't play.
And I say like, as in like a set play or just someone making
a play itself, any play that you went, holy shit.
You know what? I'll give I give credit to these amazing athletes, and I saw one. Jordy Barrett almost did it a few weekends ago. I saw a Georgian do it against us. I also saw a guy in the sevens kick it to his hand. It's these freakish things that happen within a game that
it's right down what I would love to say.
It blows my mind, and it's the ones now. It's the guys or girls diving and staying and being out of bounds, but putting the ball down in goal.
Yeah.
And I watched a Georgian guy do it in 2016 to us, which it's one of those ones where you if I was in baseball, I'd lift my hat and tip the hat to. And Jordy almost did it the other day, and you're seeing these sevens players diving and making these things, and like Connor Traynor kick to his hand or the Zruba one hand. Yeah. All those type of plays give players who played at the level I played at goosebumps still.
I have a specific one with a specific player. John Graff, Skin.
Yep.
And it was, they had to fight to get out of being regulated down or something. They were going to lose their spot, drop their spot.
In international, professional?
Club.
Club.
Yeah. So
even better, the raw.
Shit, right? So like this, but they had to win like 3 games even to put themselves into beating James Bay at what's their field called? It's C-Dub?
C-Dub is
Jesus.
Yeah,
no, McDonald is James Bay.
James Bay is
I can't watch
Windsor Park.
Windsor. So and John Graff, up until that point, I didn't know could kick with both feet. I had no idea.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, well, I don't know. There's maybe 4 seconds. Like the ref was, De Goody, I think it was John. Yeah. And it was a drop kick from, I don't know how many yards. It was well past it was half, I don't know, 3/4, half. And drop kicked left foot, but was kicking with his right foot all game.
Jesus.
Over the bar, in, win, whistle blows.
Amazing. That's the stuff you
No
don't talk about.
they didn't get
record,
regulated.
not on TV.
It's in Oak Bay.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, holy fuck, did that just happen? Did that seriously just happen?
Man, those are the special moments that I think, like what is giving you that nostalgia and that love for the sport.
Half cut.
I mean, of course, because you were drinking Piggy Lager all day.
No, I was drinking whatever that Anna Johnson, his future wife, was swilling. Perfect. Ray,
I got one last
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So, big weekend this weekend. We got CW and West Shore playing across over at JDF here in Langford.
Yes.
Colwood, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Big 2 games. We also have our minis program. We talk about local rugby if it's something that you're looking at. I know, we have the biggest community, me as director of rugby at West Shore, growing our community rugby because I do believe not everyone needs to go and play soccer for the whole year or play baseball or basketball. Come out and try it
100%.
at West Shore because I do believe we have some of the greatest coaches that give back specifically in our minis, in our grassroots programs. And the people who run them are fantastic. And obviously get out there and watch the men play this weekend. And for me, I have to plug my own new little business.
Please.
Going. So for me, I
forgot to ask about that.
Yeah. So real quick for me is that I've grown that skill specific for those elite players that are going in university and upwards and want to improve not only in their scrummaging and their line out, but the understanding of how do you get to the improving that, the mental part of it. And then specifically my remote coaching from line out hookers and throwing. And this is the part that I've been so excited and invigorated to give back and start. And I've grown this opportunity with multiple universities in America. Louisville, West Point. I'm looking at UC Davis, Sunny in Upper State New York, and then hopefully.
Are you doing this with your wife?
This is all solely my project.
Oh, wow,
and so
cool.
I work with her on improving her throwing within the local athletes. I do give lots of local athletes the opportunity to work with me free and grow that. I give it back to Canadians. Wholeheartedly as many.
You have a link or something you can show?
Yeah, so you can follow me right now. To be honest, I'm just finishing up the website. But if you go on Instagram, it's R2B Front Row Group.
All right. Editor Tanner.
And so, the website is literally, I just spoke with the guy this morning who's getting it polished up. And then for me, it's R2B Front Row Group at Gmail for inquiries.
Perfect.
On
we'll throw those links down there.
And thank you so much.
Okay. Ray, I can't thank you enough, buddy, for coming on.
Man, I do this anytime. Yeah, I can talk for hours. I'm a
100%.
lunatic for sports.
Yeah, this is wicked. So, that's it for another edition of Raw Sportscast with Ray Barkwill. That was... that was quite. It is exhausting, and but we covered a lot of ground. Go support rugby. I mean, it's a great game. You'll be massively entertained. Go support the clubs. Go out. If you're a parent and you're looking for a sport for your youngster. I just love the game, and it's just it's something that you should explore. So, you would agree with that?
I honestly,
100%.
It's arguably like one of the cheapest sports.
For
your kids to go out and play and have fun, and no cost for equipment. Pair of runners, pair of little cleats, and I'm telling you, I think you do it for under $100, and you get a whole season of rugby.
Yeah, and just so you know, it's every sport has a family, but. Rugby seems to that embrace that you get at being a part of the rugby family is something I've rarely witnessed in a lot of the sports that continue. But anyways,
it is a family sport.
It is definitely a family. So that's it for me, Scott Harrigan, Raw Sportscast. Raymond, thanks again, buddy, and we're out of here.
Cheers, thank you.